All right. This is 3-11. I'm recording everybody, so when I do this, okay, out of the green book, we're really still in chapter 1. So when we translate this, the first thing I want to know, let's do number 4. What do they give us less information on? Yes?
On science books.
On science books. So let's define it for S. S is going to stand for science books. Okay? Now, if I have, how would I define history in relation to S? Because it says there's 12 more history books than science books. Jairus. S plus 12 equals history. So if they want us, they said write an expression for the total number of books. We're doing science plus history gives me my expression. So I'm doing, for science, we're doing S. For history, we do S plus 12. If I simplify that, I get 2S plus 12. Questions? Now, I like you to do this. I like you to do this because this tells a story. Every time you sit down and you take a test, this is a silent conversation that you are having with another human being that is judging you, and you don't get to speak. So when that person that's grading your test, and it could be me, it could be Miss Sophia, it could be a Common Core test grader, it could be a placement test for high school, it could be your SAT test grader, you don't get to speak for yourself. The only thing you get to prove is on paper. Does this make sense? So, when you do this, you're telling the reader, I'm telling you what my unknown stands for, I'm able to write an expression, and I'm able to simplify it. That's a lot that you're giving the reader. Do you understand? And this, right here, is the beginning of your story. So if you're not doing this, you're not doing it to my level of expectation. Nor will you be doing it for future teachers that you'll be having this silent conversation with. Now, some of you may, did anybody do this in terms of H? What if we said H stands for history? Okay? And then how would I show the science books? Caleb?
Minus 12.
What's minus 12?
H minus 12.
H minus 12. And so then when I'm doing the science and the history, we're doing, oops, not S. We're substituting in H plus H minus 12. To simplify that, we get 2H minus 12. I am good with any of these 4 answers. Do you need to do both ways? Did you need to simplify? Not necessarily. This is as valid as this. I'm used to simplifying. You'll see every time I'll end up simplifying, unless it's really complicated. But it didn't ask me to simplify, so I'm holding you to the directions. Are there any questions? Yeah.
But instead of using S, could you use X?
Sure.
Any other variable?
Mm-hmm. But you've got to, especially if you're using X, you've got to give a definition. Define your unknown. If you don't do that, nobody knows what X is. Okay? All right, next question. Let's go to questions 5 or 6. Anybody? Okay, questions 7 through 14. You are all going to be getting perfect scores, huh? Okay, 7 through 14. Nobody needs any help? Hike.
Number 13.
Number 13. Let's go back to number 5 and 6, just in case. I'm thinking some people are not speaking up. Okay, let's just do one of them. Number 5. Or let's do number 6. What are we setting this up? What do they give us less information on? How about Yael? Small. So let's call everything in terms of S. And we'll call that a small drink. Okay. So how would I determine a large? Yael? S plus 50 cents, right? 0 and 5 tenths. Okay, so now I need to do 3 small drinks and 2 large. Okay, what symbol do I put for the and? Julian? Plus. Julian, what am I going to call the 3 small drinks?
3x.
Good. And how would I call those 2 large drinks?
2L.
Not 2L. What am I calling the large?
Just 2.
No. Look at what am I calling the large?
S plus 5. S plus 0.5.
Okay, but it says 2 large drinks. A large drink costs S plus 50 cents.
So 2S plus
Close. Close. Nicole? How do we say that? No, 2 times the quantity of S plus 0 and 5 tenths or 50 cents. So do you understand? It's 2 times the large. Everybody say that. 2 times the quantity.
2 times the quantity.
Now I could simplify 3S plus 2S plus 2 times 50 cents is $1, right? So it becomes 5S plus 1. If I simplified, all 3 of these are good expressions. Questions? Okay, questions. Is that okay? Yeah. Okay. Just got to make sure not eat, right? Because I'll do that all year long. I'll be like crunching and on. Okay. So let's move on to the next one as I'm recording to stay on task, Yamazaki. Okay, so let's do the next. It's 7 through 14. 7 through 14. And I forgot to. That's what I'm going to do here. Okay. Let's go with what's yours? What number?
12.
Huh?
12.
12? 13? Andy? Andronique?
I was trying to answer the question.
Okay. So number 12, let's do that one. Now you will notice all of these. Before you do anything, McRitchie, before you do anything, what are we talking about? Integers, consecutive integers, even, odd. We have to name them. So in this one, in number 12, it's talking about 3 different integers, right? The sum of an integer, the next integer, the following integer. What are we calling the first integer? Yes? X is the first integer. Okay, what are we calling the next integer? Chris? X plus 1. These are consecutive. It's not, they're in a row. They're not saying odd. They're not saying even. If they don't say odd or even, we're just adding by 1. The next integer. And then they said the following or the last integer. What am I calling this, Ian?
X plus 2.
Good. And so now what are we doing? We can translate. Andronique?
Should I see them for you?
Yeah. It's not an equation, it's an expression.
1
1/4x.
1 4
1/4 x,
plus
right? It says a sum.
1/5 x times the quantity of x plus 1.
Times the quantity, right, Julian? And Julian, what would the third one be?
1/2 times the quantity of x plus 2.
X plus 2. And you can stop there. You don't need to do any more. You can combine your like terms, distribute, combine. You could have also written it as x over what?
4.
4 plus the quantity of x plus 1 over plus the quantity of x plus 2 over. Now, there's going to be a lot of time I'm going to ask you to simplify it. Something this complicated, I just want to know if you can write it right now. First chapter. You can. Okay? But just, I'm not necessarily holding. I said I wanted an expression. I'm holding you to the directions. Doesn't say simplify, so I'm good with that. Questions? All right, let's go to 15 and 16. And 16. I think that's it. Yep. All right. Let's do number 15. The sum of a number and 2/5 of itself is 56. What is the number? Now, step 1, what are we looking for? What's the definition, McRitchie? What am I calling x? This is not about integers. I'm on number 15. What is x? The number. And you guys, here's your clue to how I define my variable. It tells you what to look for. What is the number? That's the definition of x. What it wants you to find. Does that make sense, Zach? All right, so as I'm reading, I see sum. What does that mean, Zach? What does sum mean? Total. How about in math? We also use it for what kind of problem? Addition. So I'm sending that addition sign to the and. That's your plus sign. What comes before it, Zach? Why? Because it has the word, you're right, it's x. It has the word number, so I have to put x there. Right after it, I have 2/5 of itself. It's renaming. What is itself? Who are we talking about? The number. So how do I write that?
2x over 5.
Okay, or 2/5 x, either one, is
Equals 56.
perfect. And so the equation here is x plus 2/5 x equals 56. Is it not accurate the way Zach said it? He said 2x over 5. Is that accurate? 100% it's accurate. I could have written this x plus 2x over 5. Could I have written it as 2 over 5x? No. It's in the middle, means it goes with the numerator or in the middle. Okay, now, how would we solve this? Zohar. Okay, you know what? That's one way, but this fraction's really killing me. So how can I get rid of it? All terms by 5. So as I multiply, what do I get, Zohar?
You get 5x plus 10x.
Go hard, God.
You get 5x plus 10x.
Plus, notice it's going to cross cancel. So what do I get?
You get 2x,
2x, Gohar. And then 5 times 56 is 280. Next, Gohar.
And then you add, you combine like terms so you get that x equals 280. And then you divide 7 by both sides.
And x equals 40. Now, to the Common Core reader, let them know what you know what x means. What is x? Ian?
Number.
So give me a sentence. The
Number is x.
no is what? 40. Okay? The number is 40. I wouldn't even mind if you abbreviated number with the number sign. I'm not about you writing a ton. I'm just about you being clear. Do you understand? Because when we start doing those age problems and they're talking about your mother's brother's sister 5 years ago and your mother's brother in 10 years, when you find X, I want you to know what X is talking about. Just in case you end up with your mother's brother's sister's father's, I don't know. Okay, yes, Caleb.
Could you multiply everything by 5 over 2 instead of...
Okay, let's do that. What do you think? Let's do it in blue and compare it. So here I have x plus, is it 2/5 x equals, what is it? 56? Okay, so he's saying, let's multiply it by the reciprocal. Oops. No, she didn't teach you. You may have learned it that way, but she didn't teach you. Okay, look at this. What does that become, Caleb?
5x over 2. Oh, yeah.
Plus, now what?
X.
I can cross cancel, right?
Yeah.
So I'm left with plus x equals, I can do it right here. Plus once, 28 times 540. Now, does it help me to eliminate the fraction? Why can't I do the multiply by the reciprocal this time? Why can't we? Chris?
Because there's a whole number.
Okay, when would we multiply by the reciprocal? Yes.
Maybe you multiply by the reciprocal if the number wasn't a variable.
No, we have many situations
So
that
maybe
she.
if the x was not on the numerator?
Okay, when's another? Yes. She taught you. Come on in, Miss Beta. I have a little chair over there because we're so packed. She taught you to multiply the reciprocal when you have something like this. Okay? A one-step equation. As soon as I have this other x right here, it's now a two-step equation. You can multiply by the reciprocal. You can multiply by the reciprocal because it will clear your fraction in a one-step. That's when she taught you to do it. I know Ms. Cacciatore didn't teach it with a two-step. With a two-step, we clear the denominator out, or a multi-step. In more often than not, you're going to be doing it like this first. Just get rid of that denominator. Okay, multiply by the common denominator. Okay, other questions? All right, let's move on to the next group. I gotta go. Okay, the next question is 17 through 21. Questions. 17 through 21. Anybody 21?
Yeah.
Okay, let's do that. We're actually going to do that. I'm going to do 19 because I need to do that for 21. So let's do that one is here. Okay, first I have to do 19. The sum of 3 consecutive integers. This should be, seems like we're pretty good on these. How do we name our unknowns? Hike.
X.
What is the first one called?
X.
And the second?
X plus 1.
Good, because it doesn't say odd, it doesn't say even. It's x plus 1, it's just consecutive. And the third?
X plus 2.
Okay, let me move it over. Sorry. First is x. The second is x plus 1. The third is what?
X plus 2.
Okay. And now we're going to solve it. What do I need to do, Hike?
Should I just say the 3x?
No, make the equation.
X
Plus,
plus parentheses X plus 1
plus,
plus parentheses X plus 2.
good. Okay. Equals what?
3x plus 3.
No, equals on the other side of my equal sign.
Oh,
Build the equation.
26.
126. Now I can simplify to 3x plus 3 equals 126. Subtract 3. 3x equals 123. Divide by 3.
41.
And x equals 41. Now I come back up here and I write x equals 41. What's the second one going to be? Okay, McRitchie the third. Good. Okay, now, you guys wanted 21, huh? So here we go with 21. Now let's see if I can just switch out the picture. Look at this. Okay? Now we're doing 21. What does it say, Julian?
It says, pretty good question.
Yeah, number 21.
Redo exercise 19.
Stop. We're redoing 19. We're redoing what we just did. Keep going.
Let x be the second of 3 consecutive integers.
Stop right there. So I'm naming my integers, right? First, second, and third. Okay. What am I doing? It said, let x be the second of 3 consecutive integers. What am I calling x, Julian?
Consecutive integer.
What?
A consecutive integer.
Which one?
Third. Or the second.
The second, because it says, let x be the second of 3 consecutive integers. Now, pay close attention. If I'm on the number line, and I have all these numbers here, let's say, okay, let's say I'm calling, they said, name the second integer x. What do I have to do to x to get to this one on the number line? Chris?
Subtract 1.
Okay, so the first integer, x minus 1, and then hike the third integer, x plus 1. Okay? Did you guys get that, Slil? So now I've got new names, and we're going to do the same thing. This time, how do I build the equation, McRitchie? Plus 1, yeah. Equals, no, we are redoing number 19. This is number 19. I need what goes on the other side of this equal sign. 126. Okay, now we can simplify. And we have 3x equals 126. Divide by 3. Divide by 3. X equals 41. In both cases, what do we notice about x? Okay? So in this case, is that right? 42, sorry. Okay, x is 40, let me go in black. 42. I knew something was up there. Okay, in the first integer, what is x going to, what is the integer? How about Nicole? 41. And then the third integer, what will it be, Augie?
43.
And what do we notice about these? This is number 19, and this is 21. We redid the same thing, except we called the second integer x, and here we called the first. What are we noticing about those? Nicole? Same answers. So you're still just doing 3 consecutive integers. It's still coming to the same total. The integers aren't going to change. We just gave them different names as we were building it. Okay, questions? Yes?
It's not a question, it's just, I want to say, because for the first one, the second integer is 42, so you literally just subtract 1 from 42 and add the third integer to add them, so you get the same.
Okay, so now let's move on to number 22 with perimeter of a rectangle. So when we're doing perimeter problems, the first thing we're going to do is identify our unknowns. I know that the first thing they mention is that the perimeter of the rectangle is 310. P equals 310. The next thing they are mentioning is they say that the length is 25 meters greater than the width. In that situation, we're given more information on the length than we are on the width, so I'm going to call width, actually I'm going to call our width, sorry, I had to switch colors. We're going to call our width x. And because they give us this translation here, length is 25 greater than width. So that would mean that 25 is my equal sign. Length, the word length, is 25 greater than width, x plus 25. Don't forget than means we cross our terms. Okay, so we're going to say length is x plus 25. I'm writing with my finger. I left my stylus. Sorry about that. All right. Now the last thing we need to, since they mention the word perimeter, we need to use that formula. Nobody's going to tell you, but if it's a word that implies a formula, it's time to start using those formulas. So we do P equals 2L plus 2W. And then I substitute in. We know that a perimeter is 310 is equal to 2 lengths is x plus 25, 2 times the quantity of x plus 25 plus 2 times the quantity of x. Simplify. 2x plus 50 plus 2x, 4x plus 50 equals 310. Subtract 50. I've got 310 minus 50 is 260 equals 4x divided by 4. And x is equal to, we are dividing 4 into 260. It goes 6 times 24. I have 2. So it is 65. Now, what does that mean? That my width is 65 and my length ends up being 65 plus 25, which is 90. So the length would be 90, the width would be 65. All right, now last problem. No, I'm going to do two more. The next one, angle problem. All right, so we have one angle of a triangle is 4 times as large as another. The third angle is equal to the sum of the other two. So first thing I'm going to do is draw the picture. And I'm going to draw it with one big angle. So I would say my biggest angle is right here. And then I would call that one the smaller, and this one the medium. So I'm saying one angle of a triangle is 4 times as large as another. I'm going to call this one 4x and this one x. And remember what they just said, the third one is the sum of the other two, 4x plus x. So we know that 3 angles, x is the measure, we're going to call x the measure of our angle. It's the measure of the smallest. Small angle. So now I'm going to say we've got 4x plus x plus 4x plus x. The sum of the angles in a triangle is 180. So I get 8, 9, 10x equals 180. Divide by 10. X equals 18. Which means that this angle is 18 degrees. 18 times 4, 32, carry the 3, 72. And then I've got my third angle is 4x plus x. Oops. So that would be 5x, so 5 times 18. 5 times 18 is 40, carry the 4, 90 degrees. Whoops. All right, so we've got 72, 90, and 18 are the measure of each of the angles. So they want the measure of the smallest, so I really could have stopped there. X is the measure of the smallest. I would take it back to the story. All right, so this is most of the chapter's questions. I'm going to do one that's like a typical word problem. So we'll do the Nile problem. The combined lengths of the Nile and Amazon River is 13,108 kilometers. If the Amazon were 234 kilometers longer, it would be as long as the Nile. What is the length of each river? So the first thing I'm going to do is identify my unknowns. The length of each river. So the length of the Nile, I'm going to call that N. And in relation to the Nile, let's call the Amazon, because they help us with some translating here. It says the Amazon, if the Amazon were 234 longer, it would be as long as the Nile. So the Amazon, the Nile, less that 234 is what is equal to the Amazon. So really what this is saying in words is if I have the Nile plus the Amazon, altogether that would equal 13,108 kilometers. So if I substitute in, we've got N plus 234 equals 13,108. We end up with 2N plus 234 equals 13,000. Should be actually minus 234, sorry about that. So minus 234. Add 234. Plus 234. We end up with 2n equals 12, 4, 3, 1, 3. Divide by 2, and n is equal to 2 into, sorry, it's such a mess. Using my finger is very difficult. 2 into 13,342 would be, it goes 6 times. Bring down the 3. It goes 6 times. It's 12. Bring down the 1. 4. It goes 7 times. So that would be 6,671 kilometers. And if I come back up here, we know that this is 6,671 kilometers because we found that n equals this amount. To find this, I just subtract 6,671. Sorry, subtracting 234. And we get 7. That becomes a 6. 3. 64. 37. 6,437 kilometers for the Amazon. So, this is the level of expectation that I expect when you guys are solving your problems. First and foremost, I want you to make sure and identify your unknowns right here. Then I want you to build the equation. Last but not least, solve, and then take it back to the story. And that's the lesson.